Hello and welcome to this quick scene using a piece of 4.5 by 5.5. Now I went 4.5 because I needed a little bit more height right here, but you can use a 4.25 by 5.5 quarter-page piece of a light blue foil. You can use other colors of foil, darker ones. You can use colored paper, cardstock, whatever you want. Doesn't have to be metallic, okay? But if you're going to use the metallic, I would recommend going with a StazOn type of ink because that's going to adhere and dry on this type of paper with no problem. But some foils, like this one, I did a little test print, and when I held down my stamp on it too long, the StazOn dries, and then you lift off your stamp and it pulls the metallic type of thing right off the paper, right? Because it dries and adheres, and it's, it peels as opposed to transfers, okay? So what I did was I re-inked my StazOn pad, and I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to do a much faster impression, and you get a perfect impression every time. So be decisive and quick. Don't hold your stamp down too long, which is kind of the opposite thing that we do with some types of inks that are being absorbed into the paper. All right, so just do a test thing. You don't have to go into your final piece and, if you're experimenting around with what you have. All right, we have our large fire lookout right here. I have to do the same type of thing, stamp it quick, and I'll do it. I'll stamp it on the right side. Okay, now, you got to get right into it because this is drying on me right now. Stamp it pretty low into your, the ledge. I'm using the boulders with lichen, and that's starting to adhere. I got a good impression anyways like that, but I felt it was kind of peeling off a little bit, because it took me a little bit longer to get that impression down like that. Okay, so I'm going to come in here with a couple more trees to each side. All right. There's a lot of surface area on here, so I'm going to have to be pretty decisive and fast. Go for a little bit of trees. I'm just using the small portion of the tree over there because I have that fire lookout tower over there. And let's come up here about like this. And let's flank our tower with some trees like that. So a little bit of depth in the scene. Okay. Now, what we have is a quote stamp. Music in the soul can be heard by the universe. I thought that'd be a pretty cool one for a nighttime sky. I'm going to try to stamp this as straight as I can. Sometimes it's a little bit angled, but hey, this is stamping, We're not submitting this to, some, I don't know, publication or publisher for a print in, some ad or something like that. Yeah, I'm going down a little bit, but no problem. Now, if I'm really like that, that might not be good. Okay, so we have this foundation right here. Okay? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do a nighttime sky in here, and I'm going to do a Milky Way coming through here, okay? So, I have my crafter's glue, and I'm going to put I'm going to go for a little bit of an S curve, like a Milky Way type of thing. Well, there's something like that. Okay. See those little dots of glue on there? They will dry transparent, see-through. And I have my crystals here, crystal rhinestones. And let's go for some of these in here. All right, I'm just going to grab a bunch of the smallest ones in here. This is a multi-pack, size pack. Really fantastic and very inexpensive. really good combination for me and my crafting needs. Now sometimes, most of the times when I'm doing this, I already splatter paint into my scene, but then it's hard to see the where I put the glue. So this might be the first time I'm doing this kind of in the correct order in terms of ease. You know, getting the crystals down first and then doing the splatter painted I don't know, whatever, surrounding stars. This is a jewel picker, by the way, by Marvy. I'll put a link in the description for it. Someone told me about the jewel picker because they saw me doing a scene and struggling picking up these little gems here. They said they told me about it. Thank you to whoever that was, and really to any of you that you know, inform me. I'm not an expert on a bunch of different media out there. Okay, I'm like the last person to know about a lot of different things out there in the crafting world. Okay, that can make my life easier. Now, some things I do, you know, if I don't use it very often, like if I'm doing you know, these stars once a year, you know, maybe I'm not, you know, picking something up, you know, specifically, you know, for that process. But I do this enough to where this type of thing really comes in handy. Okay, here's a couple of the larger stars here. All right, so we have those little, you know, that's our bling for our scene. Little twinkle. It puts a little bit of movement into the scene. It's not just kind of a static type of thing. When you do that, you're adding movement because those things are kind of actively twinkling, which is really fun. Okay, now this is some bleed proof white. You can use any type of white ink, white paint, possibly some gesso would be a good one. I knew people that used correctional pens. You can use a gel pen and just put these dots in here. I find that this is really fast though, and the bleed proof white is a really fantastic medium. It's mainly for calligraphers doing their lettering, you know, with dip pens and brushes, so that they have something that's very, very opaque against whatever they're applying it on, which is going to be something darker, right? All right, so I'm going to take this. I'm going to try to keep it off, you know, some of my trees and my lookout tower if I can. But inevitably I'll get some on there, okay? So I'll just try to, you know, keep it down to a minimum. Now I'm just releasing a couple hairs of this toothbrush at a time, okay? And I just, you know, I go like this and I release a couple, and then I go back up here and release a couple, okay? That way I get a really controlled amount of what's getting splattered. You know, if like 2 hairs of the toothbrush are, you know, kind of splattering, that's a lot of control. There's only so much paint that can come off that. And you just do it really slow, okay? And then I can get that applied kind of in this little swooshy type of kind of manner like that. There you have your little stars like that. This isn't a great type of material to be doing on a live stream with my studio lights in here because it's so glary. Like you can't even see the stars because it's reflecting so much light, and apologize about that. But to me, when I'm looking at this piece from the angle that I am, it's roughly like that. Okay, so I can kind of, you know, that's the light. That's like normal lighting. Like this is like glary with my studio lights, but look at that. All right, so here's the thing that's fun. Acrylic paint pen or white gel pen, something like that. I'm going to use a yellow one here just to change my, or to tweak my, look at this, I have a gem here, or a crystal. I'm going to use a warm colored one. You know, use something like yellow or something like that. Or you can use white, but the yellow is going to stand out a little bit more, or a lot more, because it is a warm color in an otherwise cool toned arrangement, composition. And I'm going in here right into the windows to give the illusion of interior lighting. So the fire lookout has his lantern going or something like that. I posted one of the fire lookout, one of my early fire lookout pieces, because this is a pretty new design of mine. And it was so cool because who volunteers for those fire lookout towers? I used to hike to one all the time, but I always thought, oh, that was really cool if I can be a volunteer one of these days and spend the night in a fire lookout tower, or just man it for the day. Most people are just manning it for the day. But look at that right there. You got that interior illumination like that. Okay, now one of the things is, this card can be done. We're about like at 11 minutes, okay? That's a quick card, but you can take a little bit of white pigment ink and make some of your stars kind of glow. So what you want to do is, with a very dry application on a cotton swab, you're going to very lightly dab in some of these larger stars, or just pick out any. Now if they're all kind of like a 32nd of an inch, then you can draw in a larger one with a white paint pen like this. And just go for a little bit of a larger star. We do have these crystals in here that are very dominant, but we can draw in these ones like this, or you can go with a few colored dots if you want to. I'll just go with white here and let them dry a little bit. And then what you do is you just dab over them very, very gently with a little bit of white pigment ink, and then you'll get some of them appearing to glow in your night sky. And it really changes, or not changes, but well, I guess it changes that one star, but it adds to the textural range of your nighttime sky. And you have these little stars that are kind of glowing like that. Look at those like that. Maybe those ones are the younger stars or something like that, or closer ones to us. Or, they're just kind of glowing in the atmosphere or something of that sort. All right, but there you have it. A very quick card. It's about 13 minutes now. But, I've been blabbing away, kind of explaining things. But a very quick scene. And really fun to do. Let's get this formatted and let's take a look at it with, a little bit of a card formatting on here. I usually make these like postcard types of things. You can make it into a folded card if you want to, but I usually just make a little postcard just to frame things off and to bring things out a little bit. So I'll take a look at that, and let me come back to you, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, there we have it. A little bit of a white border, and then this darker one. Look at that right there. Now, this looks really glary, and you can see those on there, but this is my studio lights, okay? There's like 12 lights, but again, this is kind of more what the card looks like that, under normal lighting, okay? But look at this, though, the characteristic of that. It's going like from, I don't know, a certain type of like twilight or something like that to, midnight like that, where you can barely see anything. And that's one of the things about foils that are really fun to use, is that they have different personalities depending on what lighting is on there. So big open sky like that, but you just fill it in with some, splatter painted stars or crystals like that. And you can get these different types of effects. Some of them are glowing, some of them are twinkling, glowing and twinkling at the same time, and that lighting right there. But look at that lighting right there, that warm light on that tower like that. Okay, now see, splatter painting over the tops of these trees in here. I got a little bit of, that white on my trees, but if you get a ton of it in there, just take a Sharpie pen and just fill those in, to cover them up, unless it's supposed to represent snow or something like that, but probably not under this type of big open nighttime sky. Not that you can't have snow in, when it comes to stamping. It doesn't have to have, big clouds or something like that, This is your universe and whatever you want goes. But yeah. But okay, so the splatter painting in here. If I splatter paint that, this is really small little specks, but still they're kind of raised when they dry on the surface, so sometimes it's easier to get a nice clean impression by stamping it first, and then if you get something splattered where you don't want it to go, you can also take like a little, X-Acto blade or something and just scrape off that little star wherever you don't want it to go. Like there's a little star right here on my tower, and I just scrape it off like that. You can rub it off with a little Q-tip or something like that, and it'll come right off. All right, so anyways, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this quick scene. Hope you do it as a stamp along sometime. The biggest thing that you want to do is you want to give those quick impressions with your StazOn ink. Test it out, you know what I mean? Have a little test piece of paper or something like that and try it out and get the feel of it, and re-ink your StazOn pad before you do it, I think, and I think that makes it a lot easier, okay? But just don't let it adhere and then peel off that, that surface reflective material of whatever they use to print that shiny quality onto the top of their cardstock. All right, thanks again for watching, and thanks as always for tuning in to the Stampscapes channel.